Support WrestleTalk!
Give us a subscribe.
Beefy boys in a cage. Beefy boys take the stage. Beefy boys all the rage. Let's go Limmy Chambles. Tonight marks the return of the Elimination Chamber to our screens, and actually looking back, it stealthily might have become WWE's most reliable gimmick match. Sure, the Intercontinental Championship one was a bollocks casserole, and the December to Dismember one blew hard enough to get Paul Heyman fucking sacked, but generally this was a pretty hard list to make. Well done, my dad, Eric Bischoff, for inventing it. Since its creation, the monstrosity of steel, chains, and biggest air quotes in the goddamn world, bulletproof plexiglass, has laid waste to superstars like Triple H, John Cena, The Undertaker, and Santino Marella, the Mount Rushmore of wrestling. These days, plopped like an aggressive egg in the middle of the road to WrestleMania, the Chamber consistently has a major impact on the show of shows, and hoping that something great happens tonight, let's run down the 10 greatest Elimination Chamber matches of all time. Number 10, SummerSlam 2003. Gosh, Triple H looks odd without a beard. How does he have so much face? Please put so much of your face away. Also, nice shorts. Anyway, the ending to only the second chamber match in WWE history might have been the equivalent to ordering a steak and then bringing you a toilet brush, but the action leading up to that point was pretty damn great. Kevin Nash, Chris Jericho, HBK, Trips, Randall Keith, and William Goldberg collided in a match that was mostly just people colliding with Goldberg. After a great opening 20 minutes featuring three of the best workers in the company at the time in Orton, Y2J, and HBK, and also Kevin Nash was there, Goldberg entered last and did a bunch of bad murders. He sliced Randy Orton in two with a spear like an anime swordsman, he tackled Jericho through the plexiglass in one of the greatest spots in Chamber history, and he tucked Michaels into bed with a jackhammer. Then, as the cherry on the beef sundae, when Triple H locked himself in his pod to get away from him, Goldberg smashed his way in like he was Jason fucking Voorhees. The match is significantly hurt by the way it ended, Triple H putting Goldie away with a single sledgehammer shot, but this was still a blistering turn by Bill, so much so that when Strowman went on an elimination spree in 2018, it was hard to watch it and not say Goldberg did it better. Number 9, 2018 Raw Women's Championship. Sasha and Bayley sitting in a tree. SASHAPUSHINGBAYLEYOUTOFTHETREE. The first Women's Chamber match is still the best, with Sasha, Bayley, Alexa Bliss, Sonya Deville, Mandy Rose, and Mickie James pulling out all the stops to prove they could outshine the male roster. Not only did they take massive bumps, with both James and Bliss soaring from the top of their respective pods, but the match had a really satisfying narrative throughline. Bayley and Sonya started, then Mandy joined, and Fire and Desire worked over the hugger. Sasha entered next to form the Boss and Hug connection and set up the Mortal Kombat friendship of Banks and Bayley. They worked together to eliminate most of the field, which left the unbreakable friendship versus teeny tiny Alexa Bliss. However, Banks got a Banks, and Bayley activated Sasha's trap card, with suddenly getting murked from the top of the pod. Bliss capitalized on the immolation of Banks and Bayley to get out of the chamber with her title intact. Other matches may have bigger spots or greater collective star power, but the Women's Chamber match of 2018 preached the benefits of a good story told well. Number 8, 2010 World Heavyweight Championship. And if you want to talk about chamber-based storytelling, woo doctor. Before we get into that though, just a reminder that this is the chamber match where unearthly birth of the murder herder was accidentally set on fire by his own pyro and then had to stand in a pod for 20 minutes as his skin slowly cooked. Just your weekly reminder that Taker is the toughest man in the history of black hats. So, Shawn Michaels wanted a rematch with World Heavyweight Champion Chilling Charlie at Mania, but was getting left on red. Michaels failed to win the Rumble, then despite begging wasn't added to the chamber match either, leaving him with only one option. Michaels hid under the ring for the entire match, hope he had a Game Boy down there, and then screwed Taker out of the title before standing there doing the dramatic "I did what I had to, but it cost me my soul" pose. Not only did HBK cost Taker, but he also handed the belt to Y2J, the man he spent most of 2008 feuding with. That's a beautiful little touch. Chris Jericho nabbing the title also set up his showdown with longtime rival Edge, and WWE created two fantastic matchups with a single piece of great booking. The rest of the match was pretty good. Punk got to do a sermon, Rey Mysterio did his quick boy thing, and Morrison got to look like a main eventer, but this match is all about that one moment, which was, much like a certain dead man's entrance, hot fire. Sorry, Undertaker. Number 7, 2011 World Heavyweight Championship. After a few entries that made the cut based on their storytelling, this one makes it based on pure in-ring brilliance alone. It doesn't get mentioned in the same breath as some of the other greats because there's no title change, no cash-in, nothing to disrupt the Mania status quo, but it's definitely worth a rewatch because, well, as JBL would say, it's just fun to watch. Edge and Mysterio, two of the greatest workers in the history of SmackDown, started the match and survived all the way to the end. Those two anchor the action and create spot after spot after spot, especially Mysterio, who cements himself in this match as the greatest Chamber performer to have never won the thing. Wade Barrett gets some great stuff to do. Drew McIntyre showed glimmers of the Scottish psychopath we'd come to see today, hurling Barrett through plexiglass and darting Mysterio into a pod. Kane shows up to work. Even Big Show, who's in smiling, happy-go-lucky mode, very much the worst version of the Big Show, keeps up with the red-hot pace. Oh, sorry, Undertaker. Mysterio and Edge survive with great theatrics, leading to one of the great final showdowns in the Chamber's history. Mysterio, not content with pinballing himself around the Chamber for almost 30 bloody minutes, kicks out of a spear to, paraphrasing Shakespeare, much f***ing excitement, before eventually falling to a mid-air spear from outer Randy Nowhere. The title match between Edge and Del Rio at Mania 27 was pretty good, but this was Edge's last truly great in-ring performance before his untimely retirement. Number 6, Elimination Chamber 2014. It's pretty hard to have a bad match when one of the wrestlers in it happens to be the most over wrestler for a decade on the hottest run of his career. If the Chamber match was solely about Billy Goat Tough and his misadventures with Mr. Hister Naughty Snake, it probably would have been enough, but this match was crammed with nice moments. In what would turn out to be his final pay-per-view match of his career, Christian flew from the top of the pod, RIP Instant Classic. Sheamus got to do the big man kick glass spot. Cesaro made the most out of what was his only real main event run, and John Cena got ambushed by the cast of Deliverance. Ding, 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 ding. But what pushes it into top 10 territory is, of course, Daniel Bryan. Hot off being snubbed from the Royal Rumble and without a clear alternate way to get Bryan into the main event of Mania, this was seen by a lot of fans as his last chance saloon. Coupled with his boob sling injury taping, the story of this Chamber was clear: Bryan must win against all odds. This made for a rabid final 2 when the fans threw everything behind D-Bry, desperate for everything the dirt sheets were predicting about an Orton-Batista match at Mania to be wrong, desperate for a miracle change of heart from creative. Bryan kicking out after an RKO was a pure, simple moment of wrestling happiness. The match is hurt by the finish involving interference from a rogue mayor, but apart from that, it's top-tier fan baiting. Number 5, Elimination Chamber 2017. It's the first of the, wow, this really looks like a toy, huh, Elimination Chambers, but don't let that fool you. This match is bloody great. It starts with Cena versus AJ Styles. That helps. It's called by Mauro Ranallo. That helps. And from the start, it's a highly choreographed match. Cena and Styles do their beautiful thing before Ambrose hops in to recreate their amazing triple threat from No Mercy a few months prior. Wyatt comes in for a cheeky Tower of Doom. It's very much a this is awesome level of big moves bouncing off big moves throughout, but it's not just moves. There's great character stuff and story advancement in here. Ambrose gets a fluke elimination on Corbin, who has a big how dare you, I'm a special boy tantrum and takes out Dean, setting up their Mania match. Cena eliminates Miz, setting up their match. John Felix Anthony Cena jumps from the top of the pod despite being the biggest of boys. The champion is eliminated fourth, which gives everything big new champ energy, and may be the sanitized version of the Chamber with those damn crash mats around the ring, but this is one of those work rate era main events where the pace never really stops. Add to that Bray Wyatt winning his first, and many would say long overdue world title, and it's a fantastic match from top to toe. The less said about what happens to Bray after that in 2017, the better, but no amount of haunted tractors can diminish this as the Eater of Worlds night. Okay, well, maybe some haunted tractors. Number 4, New Year's Revolution 2005. How do you make a match with amazing workers Edge, Jericho, Benoit, Batista, Triple H, and Randy Orton even better? Take Michael Hickingbottom, how is that not his ring name, and add him to the proceedings as a showboating special guest ref. It was also the first and only pay-per-view filmed in Puerto Rico, and the crowd were, to steal from Mauro Ranallo, en fuego. Oh, lo siento, Undertaker. There was a whole bunch of story happening in this match. Edge had just turned crazy pulling my own hair heel, the best version of Edge. Edge and Benoit were tag champs who had just exploded. Randy Orton had been kicked out of Evolution a few months earlier and was still Peeves the Poltergeist about it. Triple H and Batista had started doing angry with each other, almost kissing arguments, so more dissension there. Michaels had history with pretty much everyone in the Chamber from the year before. The title had been vacated, so a non-Triple H champion seemed actually possible. What a time to be alive. What followed was one of the most underrated Chamber matches ever, and it's not nearly talked about enough by WWE because, well, Chris Benoit is in it. It starts with Jericho and Benoit. That helps, and the drama piles on from there. Jericho and Benoit both bleed, which is actually a surprising rarity in the history of Chamber matches. Edge and Michaels come to blows. Benoit flies from the pod. Walls of Jericho and the Crossface are both applied to Triple H before his henchest of men can save him, eliminating Benoit and Jericho, but then Trips refuses to save Batista from elimination, adding yet another setup to Trips versus Batista at Mania. It's brilliant. Even a fucking cameraman gets murdered, like all cameramen should. You heard me. Of all the Chamber matches, this one truly felt like an epic war. Number 3, Survivor Survivor Series 2002. You never forget your first. At Survivor Series 2002, which is an absolute banger of a pay-per-view by the way, check it out if you haven't already seen it, fans were treated to the first ever chamber match. It's still one of the best. It's also the only chamber match in history to feature a spinneroonie, so it's got that going for it. Some spots have become ubiquitous with the chamber, almost to the points of overuse, but they all pop the crowd here. Kane smashes Jericho through the plexiglass for the first time. Honestly, naan bread might be more bulletproof than that stuff. Triple H, put your big face away, busts himself open on the chain link for the first time. Rob Van Dam climbs the walls for the first time. He flies from the top of the pod for the first time, accidentally crushing Triple H's throat, who then wrestles for 30 more minutes with the injury. God damn. It's not the best of the best. There wasn't much story in it beyond Trips versus Michaels, but this match laid the foundations on which better, more innovative chamber matches were built. The match culminates in a gigantic feel-good win for Shawn Michaels, who for some reason came to work in brown tights. I know I'm not famous for my fashion choices, but Shawn, what are those? Yeah, you subscribe to WrestleTalk for your 5-year-old memes. We got those memes. Pizza Rat? We got it. Left Shark? You know we got it. The match features a raft of top talents building to a big crescendo, and the right man in the wrong trousers winning to a fucking deafening pop. It was a hell of a debut. Number 2, 2019 WWE Championship. This may generate accusations about the cult of the new, but honestly, rewatching it a year later, the Kofi Mania Chamber is still that good. In a match that wasn't even supposed to feature Kingston in the first place, that spot originally belonged to Mustafa Ali, by the end, fans were bellowing with one voice, "Jamaican me crazy, Kofi." Everything about this match was great. It starts with Daniel Bryan rechristening his Ring of Honor love affair with Samoa Joe. That helps. Bryan plays a squirrely coward to perfection, including a peach of a spot where he tries to hide on top of a pod, only to be confronted by Kingston in one of the greatest bits of WWE camera framing of the last few years. To be honest, the camera team were absolutely on top of their game in this match, with over half the eliminations coming from surprise attacks by wrestlers off camera, all of which were hidden until the last moment by the production team without ever telegraphing them too heavily. It's masterful work. The match is very good, but the final two is another level. Like Daniel Bryan 5 years before him at the exact same event, Kofi is over like Rover, and it elevates the match like crazy. Kofi slapping his torso, telling Bryan, "Come on, kick me again," as the crowd thunder behind him. Kofi kicks out of the running knee, smashes Bryan repeatedly into the chain link as he bellows, "This is my time." Kofi's time has since passed, but this absolute treasure remains. A litmus test for their fantastic Mania match, which was supposed to be Owens versus Bryan, before WWE listened to the fans and gave them what they wanted. And number 1, No Way Out 2009. Both of them. Okay, look, leave me alone. It may be a bit of a cheat to have both chamber matches from No Way Out 2009 in the same entry, but I can justify it because both bouts were part of one big overarching story, and that story was goddamn wonderful. So to break it down, Edge was going into the match with the WWE Championship, which he'd won from Jeff Hardy, and Cena was going in with the World Heavyweight Championship. The WWE title chamber was up first, with Edge and Jeff Hardy starting. Edge goes for a spear, is rolled up and pinned within goddamn minutes of the bell as the fans rightfully lose their goddamn minds. Hardy gets revenge, a new champ is guaranteed, and suddenly the whole match feels electric, with the crowd even getting into a Vladimir Kozlov versus Big Show section of the match, and that is fucking saying something. They get fully behind Hardy, Triple H, and especially Undertaker, who really wrecks shop when he enters. In fact, for the entire match, Undertaker was really on form. This leads to a brilliant, unpredictable final two of Taker and the Game, with Triple H walking out with the championship. But wait, there's more. In the other chamber match, Edge inserts himself into it by taking out Kofi Kingston, which I guess is how that works. You beat up my husband, so I guess you're my new husband. Then, as a perfect mirror image, Champion Cena is eliminated after less than 2 minutes in the match, guaranteeing another new champion. This ends with the final two of Edge versus Rey Mysterio, and you do not need me to tell you that Mysterio was the MVP of this match, because of course he goddamn was. Edge hits a spear on Mysterio, and Edge at the beginning of the night loses a WWE Championship, but walks out with the World Heavyweight Championship. Taken separately, both are very good chamber matches with a hot crowd loving the swerves and the huge stars involved. Taken together as a piece of long-form booking, it's absolutely sensational. And those are WrestleTalk's favorites. Did we miss your favorite off the list? Let us know in the comments below. Share this video around, and do not forget to subscribe, as it really makes all the difference. For more news, lists, and even Elimination Chamber predictions, click on the links in the video.